If science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion, otherwise you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck off and die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is
This watch
my
was
face without an eye.
Yeah, this watch was like for me usually it's like I watch it the day before or even a couple days before, but I literally just finished watching it like 5 minutes before we started talking, which is rare for me. So it's really fresh in my mind.
Yeah, well, this will be interesting to see where you're coming at with it.
Well, dude, I started it last night, and I was out doing the school thing all day yesterday, and I had a crazy day yesterday. So I started watching it last night, and I'm like, I'm exhausted, and so I went to bed at like 8:30. Like I was like, I can't, and I crashed the fuck out. So I finished it today, just in the nick of time.
I'm glad this movie was only like an hour and 20. So
yeah, thank God. I know.
Yeah.
Well, and I watched fucking Nightmare Before Christmas for like the 100th time. Please save me. Somebody save me. My daughter's obsessed with it. My relationship with this movie went to like I didn't like it in junior high and high school because it was overrated, and then I was like, oh okay. And then years later, you know, a hipster edgelord, you know, everyone was like, I had a Jack Skellington patch, and then years later, I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then I've literally watched it like probably like 15 times in the past like 3 days. That's so brutal.
That's too much.
It's
dude.
killing me, man. But
I mean, that's like, I don't know. I can't think of a movie besides 28 Days Later that I could watch that many times in a row.
Well, it's funny because my 2-year-old son, he'll come around and he starts singing the songs to me. He goes, "What's this?"
That's good.
Yeah,
See, that's priceless. That's beautiful.
I tried to put on Eyes Without a Face for them. Like I'm like, let's break it up, kids. You know what I mean? So I put it on in the living room for a minute. And
Did they go absolutely insane when that music started up?
Yeah, they're like,
when the circus rant started.
I know. My son's like, "What's this?" So I was like, "Yeah, sorry, bud."
It's a body in a bog, son. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's a poor little teenage girl in a bog.
Yeah, that's what we need. So with no face either. This is the Cult Cinema Knowledge Podcast. That's Jordan. I'm Levi. If you're watching the YouTube, I'm standing up. And
I know it looks good, dude. We should stand more often. I feel like
I like standing, but I'm standing because my spine's in horrible pain. So
you need a father surgeon. Where's your
dude? I wish.
Down.
I need a father surgeon, even though the idea of my father doing surgery is horrifying.
No, but it's like he's done some surgery on some like lizards or some.
Yeah.
Some
Oh yeah.
fish,
I mean,
sure.
he was
some
taxidermy.
Bog animal out there.
Taxidermy was a hobby for him for a brief amount of time. So
I know. yeah. He could probably do a snake spine. I bet, man.
Oh yeah, dude. He fixed me right up. But yeah, I'll definitely be a Cronenberg type monster by the end of it. So,
I know, yeah. Well, dude, this movie had some pretty sick visuals though too. So.
Yeah, this might be we'll see. So this may be a shorter one, but we always say that, and then it somehow ends up being longer. So we'll probably just end up ranting about
because
what's
I
this?
Almost, yeah, well, no, dude, I'm more like I almost watched the Antonio Banderas version of this movie, dude.
Oh, I know.
Now I really want to see it.
I know. Well, it's like not quite the same, but I'm like as soon as Well, yeah, I was watching this and I was like, how have they not remade this? And then I was like, oh, there's the
it's
in
called
your,
like
in your
in my
skin. Yeah,
in my
like
skin. Yeah,
I know the poster and everything, and I've always kind of wanted to see it. So I'm like, oh, like now I really want to see it because this movie was pretty good.
Oh, this movie was great. Yeah. So that'll be this movie's it's great. And it kind of sits at like that like quaint horror. I like how it's shrouded in darkness.
Yeah, it's very like straightforward, like matter of factly as far as it goes. And I feel like a lot of movies of, the 50s and 60s, like coming off of that, were kind of like that. And I'm actually kind of surprised for a French movie that it was so just like there was no like really twists or turns. It was just kind of a tragedy, but it was like dark how it was unfolding, because everything, the motivations were like love. You know what I mean? Which
Well, right, that's
is
the whole thing.
murder, leads to murder.
It's supposed to be, it was supposed to be like anguish of the heart. It was it's not a horror film. It's just like that.
No, it's definitely like a
tragic.
a tragedy, but it is pretty like surprisingly horrific here and there for for how old it is.
Well, that's the thing, and it's shot like a horror film. I mean,
for sure.
There's no getting around it. Like
No.
it definitely is like literally shrouded in darkness. Like there's so many angles.
So quick synopsis. You want to do it or you want me to do it?
You do it. You go for it. If you're filling up to it, you're standing up. You got more blood flowing.
I do. I actually feel like I can breathe a lot better for once, even though my spine feels like it's constricting on itself. So don't expect me to know any names. So
No.
It starts with this lady. She's driving this person in the back. She's a cab driver. You know, we'll call her. She's like the assistant, right, or whatever. And
totally,
she goes and
Igor.
the person in the back is a dead body, and she throws this dead body in the lake, right? And so it goes along, and there's this doctor. He's like this, he has a conference, and he's this big medical doctor, and he's really renowned in his field, and he has like talking about like doing skin grafts and like transfers and stuff, and like doing like facial transplants and shit. And you do find out that he has a daughter that was in a horrible disfiguring accident with her face, and pretty quickly they find that body that was dumped, and he goes and is like, oh, that was my daughter, she must have killed herself, in all the anguish. But then at the same time there's another guy whose daughter went missing, and he's like, oh, it's not your daughter, it's my daughter, bud. Goes back to
well, we'll have to get to that scene too when we get to it, but continue with so the
but
the
that's
doctor
when
goes home.
we know, like, we already know something's up, but then he goes home, and then his daughter's there with a mask on, and he's like, oh, sorry, like, it didn't work, because he's like, and then you find out him and his assistant are like abducting these women to try and like take their faces, and all this. So he keeps trying to do it because he's very mad doctor with it, and she is, disfigured and hates her mask, and she's having like weird dissociation because she's got to wear this weird creepy mask around all the time, and she can't look at herself in the face and all this.
Right, all the mirrors are covered in black.
Yeah, and so
wrap or whatever.
The assistant meets this other woman. She's out on the prowl. She meets her at a theater and convinces her to come back to the house because she's like interested in like renting a room, and she's like, I got the perfect place, even though the whole time she's like, this is a little out of the way, and like, but she's like keeps insisting it's very nefarious.
He's like, don't worry, it's like you got the train station right down the street.
She's like, I got to get back tonight, and they're like, no, here, have some port, and then he fucking chloroforms her, and they put her on the operating table, and they very meticulously cut off her fucking face, which I did not expect it, because I was like, oh, okay, they're like, it didn't look very good. Like at first they're like magic markering it, and then it's like just obviously like they have a tube running behind the scalpel, which is the fake blood. And so you're like, all right. And then they do the eyes, and I'm like, oh, it's not really cutting. And then they actually switch to the actual face that they start taking off, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I was like, he's beautiful.
Yeah. So they cut off her face, and they graft it to the girl, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. But then he's like, no, it's not working. It's going to reject it. And it does reject it, and her face basically rots off, and they have to take it off, right? And all the while, she's going crazy. She calls her fiance that thinks she's dead because in a thing.
They fake her death at the beginning of the movie with like fake death certificate papers, and they have a fake funeral.
Well, yeah, they have the whole funeral because he
identifies the body.
Yeah, he identifies that body, like I said.
Right,
as,
and so they bury like his fake daughter, essentially.
The other guy's daughter.
Bury the other guy's daughter, right? Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, they do that, and so then now the fiance comes into play.
Yeah, he's always there, but like,
and meanwhile there are cops. That
I
are
don't
kind of
think
around
I almost just breeze over this because like this part doesn't matter. Like the cops are snooping around, and they get another girl with the suspicion. The fiance's like, hey, someone called me and it sounded just like my supposed dead fiance. Something's up. And the cops are like, oh, I got the perfect plan. Let's take this chick that we arrested for shoplifting. She looks sort of like her. Let's send her into the institution where they work so they can meet. And then we'll honeypot her, right? And so they do that. And this chick that they caught shoplifting or whatever, she goes in, she meets the doctor, and the doctor is like immediately like sweating, and he's like, "That's the perfect face," you know. And she meets, they all meet and stuff, and then she goes to she leaves the hospital and gets picked up by the assistant and taken back home, where they have the underground secret laboratory. And the cops show up and are like,
the illegal dog pound.
Yeah, exactly. The cops show up to the hospital and are like, "So where is she?" And they're like, "Oh, she checked out." And they're like, "Huh, okay, well, I guess our job here is done." So they just like, "All right, bud." And they literally just fuck off, because then they have no consequence whatsoever, because, you know, the girl wakes up on the operating table after having been drugged. She's about to get her face cut off, but guess who's there is the daughter with the mask. And instead of cutting her face off, she sets her free, and that's nice. And then the assistant comes in and
breaks the cycle. She's
she
like
breaks
done
the,
with it.
you know, she's got the trauma and the, you know, she doesn't want to see any more death happen on her account. And, you know, she cuts her out, and then the assistant walks in. It's like, "No, what are you doing? Like, put it down." And then she fucking stabs her in the throat with the scalpel, kills her. Then she goes, and there's like the dog pound there, kind of, which the dad is he's experimenting on dogs in between. Yeah. You know, he can't be experimenting on so many young French girls, you know.
I know, right? Yeah.
He's got to have, so
he'll be even more suspicious.
But he's got a bunch of dogs he experiments on that keeps in this like super creepy kennel area.
It is no, dude. Yeah, those kennels were like weird. They were like cement. Like it was. That's what I'm saying. It's like an illegal dog pound. Like it looked like it was infrastructure built there before. Like he did anything.
I know. Yeah, it was weird. And she lets all them out, and the doctor gets home to see like what the fuck's going on. There's cops. You know, there was cops at my work. Like, what's the deal? And he gets attacked by all the dogs, and they eat his fucking face off. In revenge.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in the theatrical release, people were squirming at the face getting cut off, but for me, it's the dog mauling and like the shot at the end of him laying there with his eye popped out. Like
that's what surprised me,
holy
dude.
Shit, dude. Yeah, no, that was sophisticated fucking prosthetics. Like it was brutal
for 1962. Like that's like 60 TOO, but like So the daughter walks out. She lets doves free, and she walks in and then is very French. You know, she walks in the woods with the doves on her and everything.
It's so beautiful. She looks like Mr. Burns when he's like peace and love. The X-Files version of Mr. Burns, dude.
Well, the mauling, like you're saying, so that's the plot. But like going back to the mauling a little bit, I at first was like, oh, that's silly, because he's like he has his arm out like he's like with the pads. Yeah. He's got the pads that let the dogs bite him and everything. And it's all close up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is brutal, but like you could see the pads like crazy. But so when the daughter comes out and sees his face like all fucking chewed up and his eye hanging out and his like glasses all broken and everything, I was like, God damn, like I didn't expect that. Like it almost jump scared me. You know what I mean?
Right. No, it really like it gave me that feeling where I was like, oh dude, this is where I'm like, oh, this is where it's horror. This is where people who went and saw it, because this got really, really poor reviews upon release. And it's because I think it's just like people are like, oh my god, you can't show that, can you? Like,
I know. Well, because I was surprised at the level of violence, because it's like a lot of it's like implied violence, and it's like, yeah, of course it's kind of cheesy and dated by today's standards, I guess, if you will, some of it.
I mean, I don't know. I still like.
I think it looks pretty good. You know what I mean? But it's like the black when they take the black and white and like hide some of it a little bit, and it's
and her prosthetic when she like looks over and she's disfigured, like that's
hers. I liked hers.
That's unsettling.
I wish there was more of that, because honestly, that's my biggest complaint with this movie is it's like it has such like an emotional core between like the dad is like this like troubled mad scientist doctor that's like wants to do anything for his daughter, and then the daughter is like having such a hard time, but I like wish they would explore that more, like her face like then basically like her getting rejected and like rotting off. I'm like, that could be such a good like body horror, because it was a little body horror, because it was like
it was super simple too. That was kind of cool though, how it was like just like the photos, the like
no, yeah, I like that, but I wish
research photos.
I wanted to see the mental anguish of like what she was going through. Like I wish I liked the doctor and the assistant's like relationship, and like how the assistant was kind of enamored with the doctor for like saving her face from like getting fucked up. And so it's like I liked their relationship, but I wish we would have got more of the daughter. You know, it's like we got a chunk, but it was her just like moping around a bit. And I'm like, I wanted to have more
I was
about.
hoping that his wife, I thought the wife was going to come into play, and I thought the wife was going to be like comatose or brain dead or something, and then he took his wife's face and put it on the assistant, and that was like I was thinking because like
that's like
I'm
a Twilight
bummed.
Zone episode or something, right? Like,
right. I was bummed that they didn't. They alluded to the wife was gone, and they alluded to like their relationship between like her. She's like, he's a genius. I love him. He'll do good things for you too, daughter. Essentially, surrogate daughter, and so he's like, she's trying to convince him, but then they never really went anywhere with it. Like I didn't quite understand like how much deeper their relationship was. But okay. Anyways, besides that, it was fine. Their relationship was like the strongest.
yeah,
part of the movie,
yeah,
in my
I
opinion.
agree. Well, it's like I just think the characterization between everyone, because it's like it was very like following the plot, and it's like the cops were so irrelevant. I think we could have just nixed them.
Dude, really, they could have been one scene. That whole set, the whole like sting operation was weird.
Well, I thought it was gonna like end with them catching it and like end
Yeah.
into like that's a big climax, and that makes sense. It's shocking. The cops show up and they're like, there's like some woman's face in a jar or some shit. And then it's like they obviously are just like, all right, like they didn't like they're the worst cops ever. They set this thing up and like didn't even. They're like, all right, we'll check on her later, and they just showed up to the hospital.
It is
after.
kind of refreshing though too for like because that's American cinema is like the cops win every
every
single
time. Yeah, 100%. The cops would have been the heroes.
Even today, it's essentially like that. Like you don't really get movies that don't have the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like the cops coming in.
Cops,
and like
cops would have showed
saving the
up.
day.
Got one of them would have got shot. The other one would have shot the fucking daughter, and
Right.
and then
Or-
the fiance would be there and be like, no, because there was no like closure there either.
Oh, right. Well, dude, and do you know what was confusing as hell? Can you answer me this? So at the beginning, let's go back all the way back to the beginning of the movie. When he goes to identify the woman from the bog, what happened? What was like? There was like the coroner was in there, and he went, "Yes, that's my daughter." And then when the guy came and said, was that the dad that was like, "Is this my daughter?" And he said no, or was that like a police chief or something?
No, the other guy that came was that's how you
the dad.
knew it was the dad of another missing girl, and that's how you kind of know.
'Cause they have the conversation outside that answers all that. 'Cause
Right, yeah.
He's like, sorry, it's not your daughter.
And he's like, it's funny how I should have to
okay.
console you
That was
when it's
great. That was a
my
great
dead
line.
daughter. Yeah, no, that's good.
Right.
Even though it's like, he's the sick fuck that had his daughter killed and then used, and then like,
dude,
faked his
this
daughter's
movie-
death with her body.
I wonder, like, this movie has there's so many influences I can see throughout cinema because of this film.
Like Face Off.
And Face Off and the Mike Myers. That's like John Carpenter said that his mask was based
I can
off
see that.
of this mask.
Her mask
Like,
is.
it's.
I don't
dude,
want to
it's
say
so good.
creepy, but it's like it is very unsettling.
It is the uncanny valley.
It's the emotionless,
it's
but it
perfect,
looks
yeah.
good because it's like that's the thing. Like the lips have like the little lines on them and everything.
I
Like,
know,
it's
right?
like it
And
is
it's
like
the
a
fact
perfect cast of someone's face.
Her eyes are really expressive too.
Yes.
So you're getting all that, but they're haunted. Like she's
They're definitely
she's like-
haunted.
she's-
Yeah.
Yeah, she's broken. But so that answers that, which is great because it was just weird in the middle of that scene where I was like, are they like, what's the secret here that wasn't already kind of obvious? And I guess that's just it, where it's like that was the secret, and then so when they go outside, they have their conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I was going somewhere else with that, but
What else had influence?
Yeah,
It
this
kind of reminded me of because I was thinking
okay.
what in a modern day would like a remake would look like because I'm like, oh, this would do well if the characters are expanded and like you could do like this. The core is so good.
It's Poor Things.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I
Okay,
literally,
thank you.
I was
That
about to
was
say
that was my next
the
one,
dad
was-
should be played by Willem Dafoe. Oh wait, I'm just thinking of
wait.
Poor Things.
100%. No, the whole time I was watching this, I'm like, oh, this has got some like that's why I'm saying like when the dude wrote Poor Things, like he had to have been influenced by this movie. Like,
Oh yeah, I can definitely see it.
you
Like
know.
obviously there's a lot more like the Frankenstein. I just
Right.
want more mad science. Like I guess in this he's just like he's a good
Well,
take
dude,
on
we
like a
love-
mad doctor because he's like
well, we love
he's
that.
so
I mean, give us some, like,
professional and
Invisible Man.
determined. Yes, right. Yeah, I want more of that. Like I wish we could have we just have a whole month of just mad scientists.
Dude, that's a genius month. We got to do
I
that. 'Cause
wish.
it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or whatever.
There's
or
there's
that-
quite a few.
Yeah, there's like we could probably have a whole month where we just watch that adaptation.
I know.
That's actually a fun idea. We should do that for, next year for Horrortober. Just do a week of adaptations, or like
all the same one.
The same one, yeah. So pick a week and watch like 7 versions of like
Frankenstein
Dracula
or something. Yeah, one of the classics.
We're pretty cool. But
yeah, that'd be fun.
So we didn't really do this. So we normally say what's our first impressions. Like, I mean, we kind of
because this is both of our first times watching. So
totally, yeah. And I mean, I've seen that poster. This is totally like
it's
a
great.
classic.
Yeah.
And actually, when she like releases the doves, I've seen that shot before, where the doves are coming behind her and like she's holding one on her hand and kind of gliding a little bit. I've seen that shot, and it was probably just cut through like, old school black and white horror,
some montage or something. Yeah, for sure.
But now seeing it in this context, it's fucking that ending of this movie.
I loved it.
Really, really tight. Like it makes the whole movie for me. And I watched this all the way through, and I feel like it doesn't have any really big lulls necessarily. It definitely has some like questionable plot driven. Like I wonder, it was based off a book, right? It had to have been. Did we?
I don't know. I mean, that makes I can't speak French, so I wasn't paying attention during the credits, but
it's probably not, but I just feel like it has to be. It's just like it's got that vibe to me where it's like
it does for sure, and I feel like that would explain the whole cops being useless bit, because that feels like a leftover bit of a book. That feels like a part of a book, because that would kind of fly better in a book where it's like the cops are investigating, but like they kind of never find out exactly. And it's like they're probably going to find out when they find everyone dead eventually and the girl escapes, but it's like to no cause, they didn't do anything to bring it about. That seems like that would be in a book, and in the movie is just kind of like, well, the cops are in the book, so it's like you got to have it in the movie, kind of. But I feel like you could have cut them. Could have cut him and just had the fiance doing the detecting, essentially.
That would have been that honestly, that was like kind of,
because then you would have more of that emotional core anyway. You know what I mean? Which because
you could have definitely had their back and forth, because she calls him a couple times, and it's like it's like that he should just be like, it's you, I know it's you, you're a ghost, you're calling me from like beyond the grave,
right?
But it drives him to find her. Yeah.
Well, that's what's so cool. It's like this movie is like so like psychological. But it's like secondhand cycle. Like it's like you try to put yourself in the shoes of like, what would that be like? But it's like, I want to watch that Antonio Banderas now. But I'm like, and I don't think this should be remade necessarily, but I'd be interested because the skeleton of this movie is so good. And I'm like, if you just fleshed out some things, I'd be interested to see in the right hands what that would look like. You know what I mean? These days, but who needs it? This
like we've said, it's been kind of adapted loosely.
Yeah.
Not like, yeah. Like, well, I mean, clearly then Antonio Banderas was like taken from it directly, but I don't know. There's so many influences out there.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's like I've known about this movie forever because I didn't really know what it was about, but the Criterion poster is classic. And it's just that title. Like that title has always been like Eyes Without a Face is such a good title. And like this old black and white, like early horror movie. I'm like
our long titles too. Like
we do. I wish it was longer.
I know. Well, dude, it is. I can't.
Yeah. Like the actual French version, it is.
Right. Yeah. It's really long. Oh no, never mind. I'm lying. There's a really long title, but it was originally released in the U.S. in 1962, and the edited and dubbed version was titled "The Horror Chambers of Dr. Faustus," and there's no Dr. Faustus in the film. So it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why does that happen?
I know.
Why does that translation get so whack?
That always happens. I know, it's funny though.
I
like that. I like that title too, but Eyes Without a Face is just too good. It's too good.
It's really good. Yeah. I mean, and that's what the French, that is the it's like, les yeux vans visage.
Dude,
whatever.
That was a really good pronunciation. I couldn't
dude.
I couldn't even tell.
Yeah. You're like, well, that's, I vacationed in Paris and I know all about their small sandwiches and little glasses.
I know. I still need to stew in this though, since like I said, I just finished it. And usually I give myself a day to stew. Cause I'm like, I did really like it, but I did find it sort of laborious, like going on yesterday. But I think that might have been because I was so tired too, like I said. But it's like, since the plot, it is very like you said, it's not slow, and it's not like it is very well paced, but like it was all just like the fun. Like I feel like movies from this time are very much like, because audiences weren't like, I guess, know as much back then. You couldn't like infer information. You really had to like do every step of the way a little bit more. Like they really kind of had to show everything way more. And it didn't take away from the pace, but the whole time I was just like, so wait, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh, the cops. Okay. It's like, it's like slowly.
The cops were definitely.
Well, it trudges forward at a great pace, because it is just like, it like never stops. And like when they kill that other girl and they like, well, we can't dump her there anymore. So they go back to the grave and they put her in the grave too.
See, and that is
like, that's good. That's good shit.
That's really good pacing and editing.
Yes. 100%.
Like, it's kind of, and I think it's just because that's where movies really get a cook, is when it's just when it's like one simple, like, panning shot. And it just like there's something happening. It's because it's blocking. Like I know we like that's what saves these kind of films. Is like the blocking is fantastic, and that's what's kind of like, because are we doing Carnival of Souls? Because that's kind of another
like next week.
That's on the list. I'm totally it's like my brain has been.
I've never seen that one either, so I'm looking forward to it.
But that has like what I've seen from it. The blocking's not as good. Like where this has like a lot of standard. This kind of felt like a Hollywood film, in my opinion. It didn't quite have the French, like the like ecstatic handheld that French films were doing.
I agree. I didn't know it was French until I started looking into it it's like
I thought it was like from Spain because of the Antonio Banderas remake. I don't know what but
your wires got crossed there, man. Antonio on the mind.
Well, dude, straight up, like the whole time I was like this because I looking it up too. I didn't know what, because it wasn't on the Plex, and so I was like, oh fuck, what version are we watching? And I looked it up and I was like, oh, there's really only like one version of this movie. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, what? This is like a weird French film? Like, is this the right movie? Like, I wasn't, like, I don't know what my brain was thinking, but.
That's funny. Well, we're gonna have to watch that other one for Mad Scientist Month or whatever.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, we'll put it on there.
I know, because now I've always like seen a little bit of it, like poster of it and seen like some stuff of it, and I was interested. But now seeing this, I'm like way more interested because I really like the concept. Like it's so.
Go watch
simple.
the trailer.
Okay.
Go watch the trailer for Under My Skin or whatever. In my
Skin I Live In or whatever.
Yeah, Skin I Live In. Yeah, go just look up Antonio Banderas and it'll pop up. It's one of his most popular movies.
Yeah.
But if the trailer's beautiful. It looks great. It looks like it's got like the like Ex Machina like energy to it behind it, but with like Eyes Without a Face like style.
I could see that.
And dude, it gave me, so I haven't seen Substance yet, the Substance, but it kind of gave me that vibe a little bit too, with like the underlining like beauty standards and like wanting, like striving to like kind of like, it's like don't kill yourself, like wait until you can be perfect again, you're like your dad will fix you, don't worry about it, like so
there's no movie like The Substance.
Okay, yeah. I know I haven't seen it yet, so
yeah, you gotta see it. I know this is off topic a little bit, but we gotta figure out when we're gonna go see Terrifier.
Oh well, yeah. My mom's kind of, her cast is off, so she's on the mend. So
well, it is. I was worried about the show times, but it is playing this weekend. So
okay, dope. We should have like if there's like a 9:00 showing or 8:30 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I'll be able to make it to that.
Cool.
Because I want to see Terrifier. I mean, it's like we're talking about, we want a little more gore in our lives, and we watched Eyes Without a Face, and we were pleasantly surprised with the gore, but like
I was not expecting any gore. Yeah.
If you took someone from 1960 and showed them any Terrifier, they would vomit up their entire contents of their stomach. Like,
oh yeah, it'd be pandemonium, dude. They'd think it was a murder.
They'd probably think they'd probably
think it was a snuff film.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, there are people nowadays that probably think that too. It's like you always are hearing crazy shit.
Sure.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, Damien Leone or whatever, the director. I'm like, he killed that woman.
He did. For real.
Wishes he did.
I wonder if there's like that's ever happened, but I just don't know if a snuff film's ever been made.
Cannibal Holocaust.
That's outside of like in a police report and then.
Oh, I guarantee. Yeah, I guarantee it.
I don't know, man.
Oh,
I don't know if the general public's ever seen it.
Oh well, yeah, I don't know about that, but
yeah,
we'll see.
If you've got them out there,
Yeah.
send them to coldestfeminthenknowledge
Yeah,
at gmail.com.
if you've ever made a snuff film,
Please don't. Please don't.
yeah. So I don't know that I really like I said, I really like the premise of this movie. Like, it's so simple, but it's just like it's so just driven and interesting. Like, I don't know, like it is. There's no fat on it, but the detectives. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's good. It's like I really liked it, and I just wanted more, a little bit more of the daughter and stuff. But I like the the doctor is just he's just like this fat, sweaty Frenchman that is he's so believable as a professional. Like, I look at him and he carries
100%,
himself
dude.
like the actor, like he doesn't have any like crazy scenes or anything, but he's so good. He's so believable with just like how he carries himself and his presence, and just like the way he speaks is like just very like eloquent and professional and direct. Like, he talks like a doctor, where he's like, I don't got time to pussyfoot around, but he's also just like, well, sirs, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean?
Right. And when he's doing experiments, he's callous, and he's just like he's calculated, but he's so separated from what's happening.
Well, yeah, that's what makes
Death around
such
him.
such a good like mad scientist, mad doctor, is like he's so removed. He's like working on these dogs, and he's more like just so caught up in his work that he's desensitized to it. These are not young women with families or anymore. These are just like hunks of flesh that have his daughter's face. That
Right.
he
They're
needs
like-
to
it's like
remove to
Yeah,
prove
just-
something to himself and fix her.
Well, the fact that like he's like it's unfortunate that these people are beings, but like he's like, I'm here to do one job, and that's to fix my daughter's face. And like that's kind of the gray area where he has like the evil that he does, but he has his like ethics where he's like, well, this will, once I develop this truly and I can get it where like, because that's what he discusses at the beginning with his panel, where he's like, I will have it where like the antibodies, I can like make them dormant and then basically do any kind of transfer, and like any kind of this will help the medical field like greatly. And so there's that kind of like sense of duty that he has, and you're like, oh, okay. But I mean, he's clearly like mad.
Well,
but dude,
no, go on.
no, I'm just saying the director in 1975 made a miniseries called The Man Without a Face.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This guy's obsessed with faces and the lack
He
thereof.
loves them, dude. I know. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I want to
Well,
see if he's got any more face things.
I know. I was gonna say, I think it's just genuinely like, I don't like the term body horror to be thrown around, because I feel like people throw it around anytime something gory happens to a body, and I'm like, no,
And
it
that's
has
a little
to do.
loose in this one, in my opinion. But
No, I agree, but like, there's a very specific type, I think, of like having, because like you say, there's a lot of movies that seem inspired by this, but it's just like none of them really go into like the psychological torment of having someone else's face, like not your face. You know what I mean? Like this kind of like there's a little bit there, and then like near the end, like Face Off kind of has it, but not in a real serious way. But they have the like I'm not me, and he like cuts his face, but like something about that, because it's like now we know modern medicine is fucking great. Like there have been face transplants, like straight up. You know what I mean? There has been, I don't know how many there's been, but I know of at least one successful face transplant thing I saw. But I'm like, I remember when I read about that and like saw a picture of like, oh, successful face transplant. It's like some guy got his face burned off or something, and then someone donated his face, and now he's got a whole new face, and it looks great and everything. But I'm just like, what's that like? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I feel like I want to see that explored more, because I think that's like such a terrifying like psychological concept of just like, because it's like, it's your fucking face. Like, your arm is one thing, you get your hand cut off, and then you get some killer's hand sewn on,
right.
my
Or
hook,
the eye.
you're not
Remember
good
that?
enough.
Remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Like that.
Right.
That is interesting, but like, I don't know. You're something about a human face. Like, your face is your fucking face, and it's just like, I don't know. The idea of wearing actually someone else's face, and it's like you can't just take it off. It's someone else's face now.
Right.
I like that.
But I think it'd be cool to watch that.
That.
Because I think you'd actually get really used to it really quickly. Our brains would let you do that, and that's what I liked about this film.
Yeah.
Where they show her like when she has the mask on, she doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
Like that, and I think that's fascinating too. I wish they explored that more on top of like, because they easily could have done that more.
They should have made
'Cause it's
her the main character. I think would have been a little bit better, because
dude.
it's like I like following the
wish.
Doctor, like he's definitely the lead, and like, but yeah, sticking with her at the house more, and then just having the Doctor come and go with like blood all over his hands and shit, like, you know, she's getting new faces.
Well, and the dog barking, like that
Yeah.
was good. That was nice and unsettling, like throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole. Like always having that, and like especially when the college student comes to look at the house,
Yeah.
and like it's just like the dog's barking, and she's like, "You're going to be very well protected," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Guys, trust your instincts, woman. Get out of there."
Seriously. You mentioned it briefly earlier, but yeah, we got to talk a little bit about the music.
Oh my god, her stalking soundtrack, like that. What is that called when like her music cue, like her, wow, man, I can't think of what that's called right now.
Yeah, I
but
don't
like
know.
when she goes to like pick up girls, and she's gonna do something like mischievous and you know, it's terrible. She gets this really
It's like circus
bad,
music.
and I actually kind of like get it. Like it is unsettling at the beginning,
Yeah.
where it's like it's happy, but it's in like a weird time signature, and so it's just like this like
Yeah, and
it's
it's a little
kind of-
like, yeah, it's like a lot of major notes and that turn into minor notes like here and there, so it's like a little off key, and
Right.
it feels very like, yeah, it's definitely
it feels, and
spooky.
it's super repetitive, so you kind of like, it's a little like nauseating dizziness that's involved every time it comes on, but like it really like that was kind of the only music I could remember in that. It's like they really pushed.
I
that
don't know
soundtrack
if there
that.
really was anywhere else, because it was just mostly that when it would happen.
Well,
And
there's diegetic music throughout.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, sure,
They would
sure.
turn music off and stuff, and like in the cafe, but
it reminded me of like, because it's like, well, yeah, at the beginning I was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting choice, and it's kind of creepy, but every time it kept coming on, like, I can't tell if like it grew on me and I liked it or if I hated it, because it's like it did make me.
I'm same boat. Like it's very effective, but I think I don't like it. Like,
yeah,
that's
like
it.
I think something else would have been better, but like I don't know what.
Yeah, just like one other major piece
Well,
would have worked. Like
Every single time
somewhere
it reminded me of the Curb Your Enthusiasm song music, and
Totally,
so
dude.
every time it would pop up, I'd just be like, oh, like it just like, oh, an episode of Curb.
Here
But then,
go-
but then
yeah.
it gets a little bit weird, and so I'm like, oh, this is the dark side of Curb. Larry
Yeah.
David's just taking women's
Well,
faces.
yeah, exactly. Larry David's like, oh, she's a college girl. You know how it goes.
You know how it
It's like, well, we have to take her face. It's like, and I think it'd be cool if like the Doctor had more.
He's got
he, like-
faces falling out of his pockets, you know.
Well, yeah, no, he would. Yeah, he'd be like, can you see this? Is this face? Is this actually my daughter's face? And he'd be like flapping it around. He's like, this is like my daughter's face to you. But
All right, button it
I
up.
wish. I wish that the Doctor had that more. Like they do that, or the daughter does that, where she like touches her face, and that's a beautiful shot. Like I loved that
Well,
when she was like kind of admiring her face and
I
like kind of
like-
seeing her reflection in it, essentially.
Yeah.
But
I like it when
I
he
don't know,
tells
man.
her to smile, like, "Hey, we fixed your face. You have something to smile about." And then he's like, "Well, not too much, though." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it is such a. They put makeup on her too, to a way that like accentuated her smile a little bit, that like made the wrinkles like more stand out, which made it feel like it was this fresh. Like it did feel like the muscles weren't all there. Like everything was very like loose, kind of, in a way. And then so it's like, but then he goes out and he's like smoking. And he's like, "I've failed her," you know. And then it's like the photo montage, and I'm just like, oh goddamn, her face just melts off, which is.
well, that
It's funny
that's
they
awesome.
they figured that out in 1960, but not in Face Off. They just cruised right over. They have literally different blood types in Face Off.
I know. Well, Face Off. Yeah, Face Off.
Listen to that episode. We did a
There's
whole
more
episode
bubbling
on
back
Face
to
Off.
Face Off. We did, yeah. Face Off didn't have enough dog experiments, man. That's
Yeah, no,
fine,
more
man.
more
I
experiments. Well, that's the thing. It's like the Doctor in Face Off. He's had nothing to do with it. I want mad doctors, man. Give me mad
That's true.
doctors.
right. Yeah.
Anyway, do you got a budget?
There's
You got a money minute?
there is no money minute.
I
for
thought
this film that
I
could
thought there
find.
wouldn't be. I felt like it'd be a toughie.
It's like they shot it in 1959, so you know, I don't know. like 1959, like right after the war. Like I don't know. This movie probably cost like $40, and then they probably only made like 400.
Well, they probably shot it in like a real Nazi's laboratory.
Yeah, for real, dude. I mean, I don't know.
They're like, let's just use this.
yeah,
They have Nazi laboratories in France, right?
of course. I mean, sure. They went to public school, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're talking about film, man. This is a history podcast.
I know. So I apologize to Clones of People too. I haven't had a chance to read his comment and comment on there, but I'm going to. Like I said, I just finished it.
We read them though, and I love them, and I thank you so much for participating. Our lives are a little bonkers right now, so
yeah, whatever, man.
Keep up the good work, and we love it.
He says, so I'm reading the Reddit. I'm like, I don't have anything else to say, so I'm reading the Reddit.
No, beautiful. Go for it. Yeah.
Clones of People too. He says, this has been on my watch list for years, so I'm very happy it got picked, and I finally get to watch it. The first thing to strike me was the score. It really reminded me of The Third Man, but with more of a creepy funfair vibe. Interesting.
Funfair, yeah, funfair.
Well, and yeah, The Third Man. I see that movie again. The film was quite haunting, from the atmosphere to the mask. The mask manages to be somehow emotive while being literally faceless. I wonder if there were multiple versions used with slight differences. Oh, there should have been. That would be cool.
Yeah, there probably was though, honestly.
Like
yeah.
just like a little bit of a smirk on one of them or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, I had only read the log line of this film before, but I had always assumed that the daughter would be a child. I was surprised to finally see that she was in her late teens/20s. I think the film may have not had its full impact just because I've been watching so much more hardcore horror. The facelift certainly can't compare to High Tension. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm watching that tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably he should have ate someone's face in High Tension. Overall, 7 out of 10 on this viewing, but I'd like to revisit this and approach it as more of a noir rather than a horror. Would you guys classify this as a noir?
Yeah, I mean,
upvote.
Yeah, up, dude. I totally get that, and I kind of wish that's what's so hard about these kind of movies is like now we have a little more like, I mean, you know, quote unquote sophistication in our storytelling, or we rely on the audience having more film knowledge. That's like straight up, like you just like a human today, even a casual moviegoer has seen more movies than somebody in 1960. That's just like A, saturation, and B, there's more, you know, we have more access to it at all points. Like that, it's how it works.
And just like overall general conventions, you know what I mean? It's like you don't.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's like there are a lot of things you don't have to spell out anymore because it's like people have a better grasp of like editing, just like
right.
Inherently just built in that like they know how editing works.
And we've gotten better at telling the story through it, you know, like that. So it's like we definitely like. I don't know. You know, that's why you watch a movie that's 20 years old from like the 90s, and it can feel. There's times where it feels weird and disjointed because there was a different storytelling technique. But anyways, I classify this still as horror thriller. Like but it could have been noir. That's why that was kind of the point I was trying to make. It really, I wish they could have focused on if they focused on that. And like it was the cops going around figuring it out, and like the scientists trying to hide behind it, and the daughter mixed in. That could be cool too, you know. Well, that would like.
I see, because it's like that's the thing. It's like this definitely feels noir adjacent, not only because it's like obviously the black and white cinematography and like the lighting, but also there's just the crime element. Because honestly, you could make an argument like, the cops, if they were more involved, then it would feel more noir. But also, like I would say, also the assistant and like her like stalking and like all her like planning and stuff. Like literally, if you would have taken like more of a noir, like just like like some horns instead of the
voiceover, so it's not a noir.
That's true. That's a good point. But it's following the doctor more and his exploits make it feel less like that. But I feel like the scenes with like the crime angle of like the woman following and like the stalking does feel like an M or something. You know what I mean? Or like some other kind of like proto noir. So I can definitely kind of see it, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely got some noir flavorings for sure. But yeah, it's like definitely just like a crime thriller. But it's
shot like haunted house though. Like it is a creepy, spooky house that they're doing. So it's like it's where like Sunset Boulevard they do that with the creepy house. but then it fully fleshes into like
Well, they do
noir.
I
which is,
agree.
like,
Well, they do show it. It's like, but this does feel more like. I get what he's saying because it's like.
yeah, totally.
I don't feel like they did shoot it that much like a horror movie. Like I feel like the content is disturbing, and so it goes into horror, obviously because it's horrific. And every time you see the daughter on screen, like it is like almost like a romantic type of vibe, but because of her mask and everything, it feels very unsettling. But it's like the way that, like I said earlier, I said like laborious, and maybe that's not fair, but like the fact that it's just kind of like the movie feels very shot very objectively. You know what I mean? Like very matter of factly, that feels noir in a way. Or maybe not like just like not so stylistic like horror, because it's like, yeah, if they would have just like did more spooky shots, or like they had like crazier hard lights, suddenly it's a noir, or suddenly it's more horror. You know, I don't know.
I don't know, dude. Look at the scene when he's like doing the like evaluation with the other girl in the psych lab, and like they've got the like flickering light, and she's like hooked up at all the stuff, and it's like super black, and he like comes in. That's horror, dude. Like that is shot like horror. Like it's not shot noir-y. Like but
that's just how. That's just science, baby. That's just how it was.
Yeah, that was
That's objective.
Actually, that's something that'd be a fun. We got to make a bonus episode about like science through cinema, dude. It's so cool. Like because I think of Exorcist a lot. How like you watch The Exorcist and it's like the most high tech technology, but we look at it now and it looks like medieval like torture devices. Like
True.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that's kind of that's the vibe I got with that too, where it's like they're like, oh, we've got all these sticks, and it's like the seismograph, and it's like they're just like looking at the vibrations of her brain. Like, what the hell
seeing
are they
if
doing?
she has any abnormalities. Yeah, it's like who knows?
Yeah, like she's a witch.
I mean, we talk. I'm sure you talk about it with Victoria and stuff, but I talk about it with my wife sometimes. That it's just like she'll be talking about you know, psychology and like the way therapists like approach things now. You know, that type of like thing, but it's just like how much it changes how it was 10 years ago versus how it's going to be 10 years from now. It's like, who the fuck knows? Because like so many things are always constantly changing and evolving. So I should write that. I'm doing an essay in my English class about horror films, and I'm like, I should just change it and write it about that and just do like the history of that. Just kidding. I don't want to do.
Have Mary write it for you.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, and closing people too. Thank you for commenting.
Yes, thank you.
We're drifting away from your question a little bit. But
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, as always. Yeah.
A good point though, I think. And yeah, the fun fair.
I know it really is. No, I don't. Music. It's kind of funny. The more I think about it, the less I like it. But I get it. I get it. It gets under your skin. Like that's what I liked about it. But it was used. It was like used too much. Like it was like a crutch. At the point where I like the third time they did it, I was like, okay, well, I get it. This is the creepy music for her that she's doing her creepy thing.
But it's like nothing.
Yeah.
I guess what gets me about it too is that it's like, yeah, it's unsettling, but it's also definitely whimsical. Like you can 100% describe it as whimsical, but they're definitely not doing anything whimsical whatsoever. Like, you know, if she was like a psycho clown or something, like then I could see it. But it's like, it's like what is with the carnival vibe? It's like if he was a carnival doctor.
Yeah. Her name should have been Art. She could have just been a disgusting clown.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't got anything else to say about this movie.
I know. Yeah, you guys are great.
It was good.
There with us.
It was good.
We
Yeah, I'm glad I finally saw it. And I would like to. I don't know if I'll revisit the movie in its entirety, but it's like I'm definitely going to watch that Antonio Banderas one at some point in the future. Yeah. And it's like, you know how it is with me. I'll watch a movie throughout the podcast, and then it will spark something like an interest in me, where I'll get an itch. And I feel like this movie is like got me a little tickle that I need to itch.
What? I need some more I need Mad Scientist graphic novels.
That's what I'm something, right? I need something there. Like I feel like this has started awoken something in me. So, you know, it's like next month is Western month, obviously, but then it's like December is going to be like remove your skin, please month. You know?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, we should go. Yeah, we should go really hard R with that.
Let's get really the exact opposite of the joys.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm feeling joy about the rest of Horrortober.
Thank you.
You guys ready for it?
There's a lot of good still movies coming up that I'm looking forward to. A lot of ones I've seen that I'm looking forward to seeing again, and a lot of ones I have not seen I'm looking forward to seeing for the first time. So stay tuned. Obviously, we're just doing the pods for the movies that are voted for. So you guys voted for Eyes Without a Face. So we will see what makes it to next week's poll. So we'll be watching the movies, and then stay tuned for this weekend. There'll be another poll and you can see what we're gonna watch next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. Cool, guys. Thanks. Support us on Patreon and support us by just, hanging out with us. Come to Reddit. Come to YouTube.
Come hang out with us. Be cool
Love
like Clones of People too.
Hell yeah.
All right, goodbye now.
All right. Bye.